What's going on, people? It's Mr. back again. I hope everyone's fit and well. And yes, today's a different kind of show today. We're not signing anyone yet, but hopefully soon we'll come in. But like I said, different type of topic today. Which 5 players would you sign for Nottingham Forest today? And before I do start, Des, why have you swapped with? No. This is just wrong. Get back there, Des. This is I'll tell you what. I'll tell you why this is a bit of a delay, but we'll get that in a minute. If you're new to the channel, please do hit the like button, subscribe to know, and comment below, people. Which 5 players would you want to sign for Nottingham Forest? Right, before we start, get the panel in. And yes, I do apologise for being late because someone was a bit late. Mention no names, do daily. This guy here. This guy.
Not me.
This guy here. Right, before we start, first we'll start with Dave. How you doing, Dave?
Yeah, good, Ben. Thank you. Nice to be on, and lovely to see all you 3 lads as well.
No. You love to see me and Brad. Not that other guy. Not that other guy. Next one, another YouTuber, the second best YouTuber, Forest YouTuber. Rads, how you doing, Rads?
Yeah.
Rads?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm not too.
I'm here. Hello.
He's here.
Am I lagging?
He was lagging a little bit.
Right. Well, I'm here.
You're fine. He's fine. He's there. Make sure everyone subscribes to Rads. And last but not least, like I said, I do apologize. I was 3 minutes late because Mr. Do Daily, subscribed to his channel, was doing his little thing. So, how are you doing, Des?
I'm good, thank you. I've got other things to do, than waste my time on this. So if you don't
see what I mean?
I haven't.
So this is what I mean, people. Because now, before we do start, right? Because on another podcast, I don't know who it was. People in the comments who it was. Des said, this is what Des said. Whoever we get first game of the season, Des is going to run to the first away game this season. Des, can you remember that game?
I can remember what was said, and it wasn't that. It was if we got to 600 by the end of that episode, I'd run to the first away game of the season. 1 or 2 people have been trying to remind me of this. I'm not running to Newcastle. I'll actually run in Newcastle. I'll do the Great North Run a few weeks later for you.
So that people, like I said, Des is trying to say confirm that he didn't say that. People in the comments, can you remember what Des said? I do remember Des saying the first game that he'll go, if he reaches 600, he will run to the first away game. So Des,
good job it's not Bournemouth.
Exactly. So Des, look at his comments before we do start the show. Carol says, get one in Des. D chapter away the lads do daily. Nick says, has Des got over 300 seconds of TV from last? Oh yeah, he was doing it, Des. You've been on TV, haven't you?
Just 1 or 2 times, do you know?
Okay. But like I said, people, we've got to make sure everyone subscribe to Rise. Make sure everyone starts to do daily. Links below. Right. Showtime. But like I said, the title of it is which 5 players that would you want for Nottingham Forest to sign? We've been linked with nearly like 300 or 400 players. I know that we soon will be announcing a signing soon. We have me and Dave and Rads. We're struggling to how to pronounce him. So, Dave, have a go. What's his name?
Taiwo Awoniyi.
Oh, Taiwo Awoniyi. Rads, can you say it?
Taiwo Awoniyi.
What, Rads?
And the other lad is Musa Niakate.
Taiwo Awoniyi. Awoniyi.
What you?
We'll get there eventually.
It sounds like Taiwo I want you.
Des, can you say it, Des?
I'd say it was Tayo. That's just the way they pronounce Tayo Awoniyi.
Taiwo Awoniyi. I think that's his name. I think it seems like we'll be signing him on either Thursday or Friday. So I will be doing a show there. I've got a U Berlin fan. I've got a Nigerian fan that will be coming on the channel as well. So make sure you go and check this out either Thursday or Friday. Right, let's start. People comments, join in as well. What 5 players would you want to join Nottingham Forest? And we'll start with the goalkeeper and people in the chats as well. Get involved. And I will tell the panel as well. What player would you prefer? Goalkeepers, like I know we've been linked with Henderson and soon he could come in, or would you keep Samba? So let me start with you, Dave. And goalkeeper wise, who would you want? Would you want? Henderson or keep Samba?
Ideally, Ben. I'd like to have both of them, and in an ideal world, I'd like them to compete for that one spot. But from what I can gather and what I can see, the reality is that Brice wants to go back to France. In which case, I mean, we've been dealt a curveball, really. I mean, if us four lads had got together like a couple of weeks ago, or immediately after the final, none of us would have been talking about bringing a goalkeeper in. So we've been thrown this left field maneuver where we've had to kind of like, start talking about a goalkeeper. But if Brice is to go, then I'd really, in fact, I wrote when I did my little bit of homework, I wrote Dean Henderson's name at the top of the list because I've got a bunch of names which would be nice to haves, but if Brice is indeed on his way back, and maybe for laudable family reasons, then the necessity is to get a keeper of Premier League standard, which Dean Henderson, based on his work at Sheffield United, I think 3 seasons ago, he really is. So Dean Henderson is a necessity for me if Brice, as seems likely, is an imminent departure. So he to me, he's the most important one to get. We need a goalkeeper. And what I think about Dean Henderson is, without sort of rambling on too much, Dean Henderson was sort of replaced for Sheffield United by Aaron Ramsdale. Blades went down. Ramsdale is now very key to Gareth Southgate. He's probably the number 2 to Pickford, likely to be the number 1. So I'm sure Dean Henderson is looking at Aaron Ramsdale and thinking, well, if he can get the England set up, so can I. So I would have Dean Henderson as being a hungry guy wanting to re-establish his reputation as a Premier League goalkeeper. And who better than Nottingham Forest for him to have that platform? And who better as a youngish keeper than to have Steve Cooper as your manager? The best manager of young players in the country, in my partisan view.
Rads, who would like what keeping favourite, Henderson or Samba?
Well, I agree with what Dave was saying. After the playoffs, I don't think anyone would have ever considered having to sign a goalkeeper. It's still a bit of a surprise we're talking about it, to be honest. But to be honest, the whole Samba situation I find quite confusing because I didn't see it coming, like we just said. And the fact that if you look all over his social media, he's wearing loads of Forest gear on holiday.
Yeah, it's confusing, isn't it? It's confusing.
Yeah, that's his choice. But if he's leaving, I don't understand why I'd be wearing Forest gear. And then his family members as well have been wearing Forest away kits. And I just think it's weird, to be honest. But if it is to do with his family, he wants to go back home, then that we have to consider that it could be more than football. Then fair enough. And I do think that Dean Henderson would be a fantastic replacement. And I think ultimately, as fantastic as Samba's been, and I think he will always go down as a very special player for us, just purely down to that Sheffield United game throughout it. And then obviously the penalties more than anything. He probably would say Henderson's slightly better than him at the very least, maybe. So I probably, it's a weird situation. You're losing a keeper that we've all loved so much for 3 seasons, and I'm not even that worried because we could be getting someone that's maybe play for England, I think, and he plays for Man United. So we're going to be getting someone that's even better. So it's a difficult one, I think, the goalkeeper, but I certainly wouldn't mind Dean Henderson.
Last but not least, Des, like I said, Raz mentioned it about Samba, he's always away on holiday, got his Forest gear, but do you really think Samba wants to stay at Forest? And what's your choice on Henderson or Samba?
I think what Rad said there about it being confusing, I don't think it is that confusing anymore. I think he's trying to build a few bridges, isn't he? I think it's quite striking that he's probably put his foot in it. Last time I was on, we spoke about the tweet, the see tweet, and then he backtracked. And I think for his board, for his manager, the team within the club aren't there to be messed with. And it looks like he might have pressed a few buttons in the wrong place and upset the apple cart. So I think the pictures you've seen in the last couple of days might be a bit of bridge building, almost saying, I'm still here, I'm still committed, I still want to play for the club. Because it's almost now being taken out of his hands, isn't it? They've identified a target. It looks like they're going all out to get Henderson. And it's not just a target, they're looking to so it's not just a loan. They're looking to get him permanently. It looks, that seems to be the stumbling block. Whether they could potentially have him permanent. I can imagine after the signings this season, they don't want to go down the same road as what they have with Spence and Davis and sort of make players better, and then all of a sudden get priced out of the market, because that's what they've been doing, isn't it? So I think that's the situation with Henderson and Samba, that they've almost now sort of gone, well, that will draw a line under Samba. He has had his issues. They have stuck by him. He's stuck by them. He's come back. He's performed. He's been professional when he had let himself down. So I think they would have gone with it. I think, like Dave said, looking back a few weeks ago at the end of the season, you wouldn't have been thinking goalkeeper. And it almost, to me, seems like a little bit, don't get me wrong, because I'm going to come on to Henderson in a minute, but it seems like a bit of a waste of pot. Do you know what I mean? Wasting a bit of the money when we don't really need to. I don't know what the numbers are behind Samba. I don't know who earns what. But spending a lot of money, or potentially spending a lot of money on a goalkeeper for Manchester United, when I think Samba is good enough, I think out of a lot of the players, his style and what he does will suit the Premier League. A goalkeeper's a goalkeeper at the end of the day. You've got to be a shot stopper, and he's going to get lots of those to save. So I think he'd excel and he'd be a really good player. But it seems like there's been a massive fallout, and I kind of hope in many ways that these bridges are built and they all get together in the same room and say, let's move on from it, and potentially, go with Samba, because I will take him purely. I don't think he's necessarily better than Henderson, but I think, like I said before, you're probably spending a lot of your budget on a position that might not necessarily need that massive improvement. But when it does come to Henderson, I think what a player to be in the market for. Shows ambition. The lads mentioned he was England. Now there's players who sits on the bench at Man United. It looks like the other target, Pope, is signing for Newcastle now.
Pope time for Newcastle, yeah.
So it seems like the obvious one, and a great player. I really, really rate him. I like Henderson. I think he's a top keeper, and again, he's a shot stopper. I've not watched him too much in terms of the distribution, and we all know Samba really, really sort of excelled with that at the end of the season. Really played well in that sense. So, I think Henderson's a good option, and if they can get him on loan with an agree a fee to buy, that's the key thing, isn't it? Because it could, like with Spence, Middlesbrough blown us out the water because they've gone from 12 million to 20 because the are interested. So I think it's important to get that deal in place. It would be good to get one over the line, and if that's Henderson or one of the other guys we're going to speak about, and then it just shows that we're in there. But I'm not worried, I'm not worried about any of these, and I think it'll happen. I'm quite enjoying just being promoted. So
exactly. I am too.
Very true, Des. Very true.
Don't forget Wembley. Just keep enjoying that, because there's no need to get worried. Back in the day when Cloughy was in charge, we'd see him on the first day of pre-season with a scarf on the pitch. That was how they got introduced. I seen a video of Mane today. There's this high-tech video of him coming in and all these things. I thought, let's just get them signed on the dotted line and then start enjoying them. And any of these players, Henderson, the other guys that might come in, let's just have a look at them before we get too excited and too carried away.
Yeah.
I don't want to sort of build people or knock people down. It works both ways. You can say, oh, that's uninspiring. That's not a very good signing. But let's just enjoy the fact we've been promoted. We're going to get the Premier League, and we're going to hopefully learn to love the new players like we did the loan players last season. That's what we want to do, isn't it?
100%. 100%. Like I said, with me personally, I think Henderson's a good goalkeeper. Samba, great goalkeeper for what he did. But I would prefer both keepers, both fight for the goalkeeper. I know we've got mentioned even Horvath in goal as well, who wants a World Cup spot as well. So people in the comments, what do you think? Like I said, do you want Henderson in goal? Do you want Samba in goal? Even Horvath in goal? Put in the comments below, and I'll look for comments in a minute. There's 149 people in. Thank you everyone for taking time and watching this. Make sure you do hit the like button. I'm on 28 likes. Please do. If you get me to 100 likes, before the show finishes as well, please do subscribe as well to my channel. I'm trying to get to 10k for the new year. Make sure everyone subscribes to Rads as well. He's got a YouTube channel. And make sure someone subscribes to this bellend who was late. Mr.
Oh, let me say something about this one. Because I'm getting hammered in the comments here.
God, you deserve it.
By the end of the thing. So what I'll do tonight, if we get to 700, I promise you, I will run from Leicester to Forest when we play them after Christmas.
Right, people. Right, click this. People. There's
Better start liking.
There's 154 people. Get to subscribe to Do Daily. Get to 700 subscribers. His link is below as well. When you do subscribe to Do Daily, make sure you subscribe to Rads as well. Because, Des, you said this, you'll run to it. So, people.
700 by the end of the stream.
End of the stream. Go and subscribe to him now. And if you have, put the thumbs up and make sure you do. Right. So that's goalkeepers. And like I said, me personally, I prefer Henderson. I prefer Henderson because he's got experience. He did well with Sheffield United back to back. But what Des mentioned about what I think that tweet he said about basically cheerio. I think he should have done it, to be fair, because you got all Forest fans worried and blah blah. And now what's happened about? I think it was the journalist, the Arsenal journalist, said it about rejecting the contract. So me personally, I prefer Henderson. But people in the comments, what do you think? Right, let's go through defence. And I'll start with you, Rads. And there's been so much we've got so much defenders linked with. People in the comments, what do you think? What defenders? Pick two defenders. Two defenders, not 3 or 4 defenders, people. Just the 2. Dave, get ready to pick what 2 defenders you want. Rads, what 2 defenders what you want and why?
I mean, we're linked with so many. Just in the defence. Just in the defence, we're linked with so many. I mean, obviously, we'd all love to keep Spence, but it looks like he probably will end up going to Spurs, unfortunately. And if he does, fair play to him. He's earned it. And his pull of having European football is going to be huge for him. But if we don't get him, which is probably more likely, I think Nico Williams will be a fantastic replacement. He's young, he can play on both sides. He's played with Brennan before. He could definitely have a very, very big future. And especially given the fact that Liverpool signed that guy from Aberdeen, that's only got to help our chances.
Ramsey,
yep.
And the fact that I saw Brennan was on holiday with Williams, that's not going to solve transfers, but the fact that they've got
they holiday together.
Yeah, they've got ties, haven't they? So I think that's got to help, and they'll play on the same side. So I just think Williams would be a really, really good signing. Someone I've always thought is a great player. As for the other defender, I mean, like I said, we're limited a lot. The guy from Mainz, as we were saying before we started, looks like a real handful.
What's his name? What's his name, Rads?
Nakati? Is it?
What's his name, Rads? Come on, Rads, you got to say it. What's his name?
So the only
you said it earlier.
Moses Nakate. Is it Moses Nakate?
Nakate. I was nearly there.
Rads, at least you said it better than me. Don't worry about it.
Right. Fair enough. I'll take that.
I need to get out more.
Go on, Rads. Carry on, Rads.
I think he looks. Obviously, I'm not going to claim to have watched Mainz a lot, but he looks like a decent player. Talking some pretty big money for Forest to spend. Obviously, that's the pull of the Premier League, isn't it? To get that much money being, it's just weird seeing us linked with so many great players that are, Premier League standard playing European football for now. So it's just one of the luxuries of Premier League football. I think he'll be. We need a bit of pace in that line. I do think he does look quicker than any of our defenders at the moment. And I do think, fair enough. I think he'll be a good get, but we can't get too excited. So we haven't signed him yet. But the point is though, actually, I trust anyone. Whoever we get, I trust what Cooper and Murphy decide to do, because I don't think they need to prove it as wrong anymore.
Yeah.
So,
Before I get with David, there's what this Jane Patton said. Raz is about to pull Nakata out of retirement. I don't know. People comment like, say, what defenders would you pick? 2 defenders. 2 defenders. People, what would you choose? Dave, what 2 defenders would you want?
Well, I'm going to pick two different names in a minute, but I'm going to completely endorse what Rad says about Nico Williams. If them lads are on holiday together, Brennan and Nico, they're forming a relationship, probably even closer than Brennan and Jed did. And I'll tell you something, they'll play well together. Rob Page at Wales would love them to play together with a World Cup like 2 or 3 months down the line. He would love that. So I think Nico Williams would be a great signing. Moussa Niakate, I again, back at what Rad says, I went to YouTube, having watched, I think there's a lad on the other night called Joe who said he was watching lots of YouTube videos, and I felt a bit inadequate, so I went and watched a few myself. And I watched Niakate play in a game against Bayern Munich at the Allianz Arena, and he was not out of his depth at all. He looked a really handy player. He reminded me of Jonathan Panzo, the way that, left-footed, tall, elegant, but he just got a bit more nous and a little bit more experience than Jonathan, who will be a good player. So I'd back up them. But the two I was going to add to that was I really like the idea of Joe Rodon.
Good player.
Yeah, given that he also is a Welsh international, we'll be looking at Qatar. He, a little bit like Nico Williams, hasn't had a lot of game time with his parent club. And I'm not sure that, Antonio Conte is going to give him game time, given the big money signings that they're making. And Joe Rodon was at Swansea with Steve. Now, we've seen before, Sam Surridge, a classic example. People who are familiar with Steve want to play for him. And as soon as you've got somebody who wants to play for a manager, you've got a guy who's already motivated in an organic sense, a natural will to want to do well for the club. So I think Joe Rodon will be a really good one. The other one I wrote down, and it's kind of interesting, was whether this might be pie in the sky. I don't know. I might be talking utter nonsense, which I've been known to do quite a bit in the past.
All time, Dave. Who?
Yeah, Levi Colwill was another name I saw mentioned today. Now, and I know Levi Colwill. That moment at Wembley is what he'd be remembered for. But up until that moment, Levi Colwill, in a relatively quiet way, was excellent for Huddersfield. I mean, I know a lot of people talked about Huddersfield's attacking prowess, Sorba Thomas and Danny Ward and Jordan Rhodes and Dwayne Holmes and all the other stuff going forward. But if you're going to go forward with confidence, you kind of don't want to be looking over your shoulder. Now, our lads didn't have to look over their shoulders last year because of Scotty, Cookie and Big Joe, and I think Levi Colwill did a similar job for Huddersfield, giving attackers the confidence to go and express themselves. So I do think that the two that Rad's mentioned are higher on the shopping list than the two I've mentioned. But the two I've kind of looked for, and I did write Nico Williams and I wrote Moussa Niakate first, but I think those two would be more than adequate acquisitions.
Before I get Des in, I just wanted. There's been an article from Daniel Taylor. And the update is from
great writer.
Taria Anawi. Is fine for his medical at Nottingham Forest to complete his recruit record 17.5. Nigerian International 24, formerly of Liverpool, said goodbye to Union Building today. Dean Henderson should be next, others to follow. Okay, so people that should be confirmed soon. And like I said, when it's due confirm, and like I said, I've got a Union Building fan, I've got a Nigerian international who sports Nigeria that knows about him as well, will be on this channel maybe Thursday, maybe Friday. Yeah, here first.
It's lovely being in the Premier League. Like this.
You know what? Sorry, I got a super chat as well. Shout out to Kieran. We are Premier League, baby. Yeah, it's mad. Isn't it mad? Like we are in the Premier League and we just talk about these 17.5. And Derby can't afford to buy the Gret.
Derby.
So it's lovely. It's lovely. But Kevin, thank you for the £2. That will go straight to Des's wedding because, like I said, I'm not going to the Bournemouth game because he's got me to go to his wedding now. So that can go straight to Des's wedding. Des, it's your present from me to you. Okay, is that all right, Des? Right, Des. So 2 defenders. Not 3, Des, just 2.
So I'm going to be a little bit boring and stick with what the guys have said because they seem like the natural fits for where we need players to. It seems obvious that Spence is likely to move away to Spurs. And Nico Williams, for me, I totally agree with what the guys have said. Direct replacement, great link up with Brennan. Of course, they're building a relationship, they're forming a friendship at least, and you can see that. I think there was a bit of cheekiness in that picture as well. Players using social media. It's not always the best thing, is it? But I also think, why he might be a really good signing is because he can play both sides.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I don't know what the situation is with Max Lowe, but if Cooper fancies buying him, fancies taking him from Sheffield United and putting a bid in for him, it might be somebody we could consider. Obviously, you start if you was picking a starting team from that, you'd have Max Lowe one side and Nico Williams the other. But if he is injured, we never had anybody to come in, did we? We never, apart from the fact Colback did brilliantly at the end of last year.
Superb.
We've gone up another level, and he'll get found out that little bit more, and his lack of pace might come into play a little bit more. So again, he's a player that can be utilised across on the other side. So it might be an option, considering that Cooper might like Lowe. I don't know the situation. He might want to take a chance on him, but he is a little bit injury prone. So someone where you can think, well, if we've got players to fit in, that the fact you could utilise him there might just sort of tick a few boxes and convince them to go for him. I think they should anyway as a right back. I saw him play for Fulham. That when we went down there, although we played really well, they played really well, to be honest, didn't they? Yeah. They really banged the door down, and he was a player that sort of helped take the game to us. Really sort of top player. I've seen him play for Liverpool, and I wasn't convinced, but I think I said this as well before, that when these players come in, it takes them 10, 15 games to really sort of get going and get up to the pace. Seeing him in the Championship, he looks like a man now. When he played for Liverpool, he looked like a ball.
Yeah,
a lot of them do, and I think he's really grown into a good player. And we've seen through those Wales qualifiers, when names start getting mentioned, of course, you look out for them that little bit more. It just seems somebody with real potential that could have a really good career. And of course, he's the one that's sticking out with the fact that we might lose Spence. When it comes to other positions, I mentioned Lowe there, possibly. I'm not sure where the land lies with him. I'm not sure what I necessarily think of him playing in the Premier League, but it might be somebody Cooper goes for. There's also the guy from Germany. I think he ticks a box, doesn't he? He looks like he's somebody with pace. I'll hold my hands up. I watch a lot of football and I don't know a great deal about him.
Me either. I don't know enough about him. That's why I'm. If there's any,
I've seen a couple of clips, says.
We can't really make our mind up, but what we can say, we can go on the fact that Steve Cooper wants him for a start, and I trust Steve Cooper. He looks like the athletic type, physical, athletic, fast, like Dave said, the sort of Rolls Royce type player in many ways, who can possibly play the ball out of defence a bit quicker and a bit neater. It's just interesting in that sense. And I know we're not talking about players who are here already, but who he's looking to replace. The natural one seems like Cook, but you never know. You never know where Cooper feels that we need to strengthen. And what I thought was really interesting was that article from, or tweet at least, from Dan Taylor the other day, when he said that Forest are trying to almost take the emotion out of it.
Yes, that's what the emotion. The emotion about players like Spence and other players we'll talk about later on about. And just before you say, you talk about the emotions like Spence, and I might get a bit of criticism about this, but I personally think, I know Forest made a deal, is it 13 million, and Middlesbrough wanted 20 million, blah, blah, blah. But Jazz, do you think Forest should pay 20 million for Spence? Some people in the comments as well, join in. Do you think we should pay 20 million for Spence?
If Steve Cooper wants him bad enough, it's as simple as that. If he sees him as a good enough player, because let's face it, Nico Williams isn't going to be much cheaper, if any. So it depends, doesn't it? And I get the feeling, and again, I've no idea. I'm speculating as much as every time Dick and Harry on Twitter, but I get the feeling that Spence probably went away on holiday to make a decision. That's probably what the delay is with Spence. He's probably been given. He spoke to Spurs. He's been given the way it is. You're going to play this. You might do this. You might do that. And then he's gone away and thought about it because he has been happy, hasn't he? His family have taken to it, and he's got to remember that. Will he get that again? You know, if he's not in the team, no one's going to know of him. You know, he's got that relationship going. But in terms of would I pay it, if Cooper thinks he's worth it, but I wouldn't be too upset if he went on. You know, I would be. I'd be gutted, but I'd like to see how his career progresses as well. I think I've been watching football long enough to know now that players come and go a little bit, and it's important sometimes just to let players go and do what they have to do. I think that's where we have to get to as football fans, and all this feel good we've had over the last year. If these players are going to move on and do different things, then let's just enjoy the fact we've had them and watch them develop, because they can probably develop quicker than they can with us. But every footballer finishes one day. You know what I mean? Every man has his day. And I've seen Stan Collymore leave and been in almost tears, you know, and still tears and things like that. And these players aren't really a patch on them. But getting back to the point, I think those two players seem like real good additions to the squad, and they fill gaps, they fill positions that we need, and a bit of utility in there as well, you know, utilising them in certain positions. And yeah, do you know, there's names I like what I think it was Dave who said it, Colwill, or Colwill, however you say it. I liked him. Of course, he got that own goal and he was a bit unfortunate. But they're probably going to be looking to send him out on loan and to see.
I seen an article. I saw an article on Twitter saying that because he doesn't know what his Chelsea future is, and then because you know what media agents are like, they're like, I think they put Forest and someone else, Bournemouth, linked with him. So
the only thing I will say, and I'm not totally disagreeing, but the Rodon one, is he a bit similar to what we've got? Is he a bit similar?
Rodon.
Is he a bit similar
all
to
I know about
Paul and McKenna? He's a bit of a blocker and a header and a
yeah.
Don't get me wrong, good player. And if Cooper thought he was better than one of those two,
he's right-sided, I think, Des. So if you're looking at Moussa Niakate as being a sort of a, say we lost Big Scott, then Moussa Niakate would slot in on the left. And also with Moussa Niakate, I actually think he might do a decent job as a left back. You know, he looks quite quick, actually.
Got Panzo as well. Got Panzo.
Yeah, there's Panzo as well. There's a bunch of names. Richie Larrier, there's another name, right? Yeah, but the thing is with Joe Rodon, I see him as being back up to Joe. And then, and I tell you what, I've seen a few spoof teams put out people preempting what they think is going to happen. And a lot of these teams have not had Steve Cook in it. Now, Steve Cook is not done yet, and Steve Cook is our coach on the field. Not many teams have got a guy of his knowledge, his experience. He'll know pretty much everybody that we're going to play against next year, and he's going to talk us through a lot of those games. I think he's crucial. I think he's a wonderful guy, a wonderful player. You know, so he's not done yet.
And you've got a point there as well, because I don't know how much you know about Alan Tate's career, but Alan Tate was never the quickest. And he was the same player in whatever league he played. He was the same player in whatever league, and he become that experienced head at Swansea. You know, and you thought, every time you played them, you thought, we can get at him. We can get at him. He's their weak link. He's their old man at the back. And he just had such a good career at one club. And so there's a point there. What I will say, though, on the Rodon thing again, and I'm not trying to disagree with you, Dave. We agree on that.
You're all right, Des. Go on, mate.
Dave, listen to me. Des always disagrees with everyone. Don't listen to Des.
At this point, I think they need to walk straight into the team.
Yeah.
If we've got a budget, let's not buy Jadas again, Dragers. You know, we don't need those.
Who?
And I know he's much better than that. You won't put him in that category. And I know we've got to sort of fill up some positions. Of course, Figs has gone, and you know there might be a position there for someone to step into more than sign. That's what I'm kind of thinking there. So I'd like to see somebody come into the team. It does seem like Cook, But like you say, Dave, I think there's a massive part for him to play.
Right, so people defense-wise, and I know no one's mentioned it. And before we do, and I do apologise, and like he's put another super chat. £2. I'm not caring, and I thought it was. Sorry, and I apologise. So thank you for an extra £2 towards Dez's wedding. So people, if you want to donate, get Des something stupid to wear for his wedding. Donate if you want, and it will happen. As well, make sure you do. Everyone subscribe to my channel, watch the channel, and people. What's Des on now? Get him to 700. There's 186 people. Please
610 though. 610. I've had 4.
People, there's 90 away. There's 90. He's 90 away to run to Leicester. Go and subscribe to Des. Go and subscribe to us as well.
I will run back from Leicester when we play them after Christmas. I will run from their stadium to ours, and I'll set up an event and raise money for charity.
Right, you heard it first. So Des going to do a run for charity as well. So people, go on, subscribe.
Eastern is Derby Marathon.
right, so yeah, so that's one of the defenders. And yeah, people in the comments, what do you think? What defenders do you think Forest need? I know I'm going to mention my defenders now. So I'm going to say defenders wise, Moses Nakate. I like him. I was speaking to a fan. He sent me a clip of him, and I think Dave mentioned it against Bayern Munich. I know it's YouTube, and you don't see everything, but he's a good player. The right back. Rad might know. Who's that Man City? I saw it in the chat. There's a Man City right back we've been linked to as well.
Yeah.
I've not really heard of him, to be honest. I know we've been linked with him. He's been in France the last 2 seasons. Yeah, him. Kabor. What? How do you say it, Dave? What was it?
Who's Dave?
Yeah, Kabore.
Yeah, that. I know how to spell it, but
that's it. Right, here it is. Right, here it is.
Sorry,
yeah, that's another player that.
They've got Premier League names as well, haven't they? They've not just got a cook or a.
That's it. What it was, I think it was shout out to NFC Dan. He knows loads about Forest on Instagram, so make everyone go and follow him. There was talks of him. I think his agent put a logo for a Forest sign. So there has been talks with him about coming to Forest. So watch out for that one because we need a right back. And who we've got? If you look at it, who we've got? We've got back. Got back who.
Yeah.
He's not good enough for the Premier League yet. Shout out to back. Shout out to Neil back as well. But yeah, we need a right back. But yeah, people in the comments, what do you think? We need defenders and we've got a lot. Right, midfield. Before we do start, like the midfield start, I know Zigano. I'm going to tell the panel what they think. Should we have kept him or not? People in the comments, what do you think of Zigano? I know he's the kind of player that we've spoken a lot about this on this podcast. He's just hot and cold player. People in the comments, what do you think? Make a short and sweet panel. What do you think? Should Forest have kept him? Yes or no? Rads.
Honestly, I think a lot of people, some people are 50-50 on Zink, but I probably would have said yes to keeping him. I don't think he should have been starting like he was in the Championship, but I think he would have been a fantastic squad player for a Premier League team. You know, and probably we are definitely going to mention this guy. If we were to get Gibbs White or someone like that, I do think Zink would be a really good backup. And, you know, he's a very intelligent player and person. He can be quite frustrating at times. You know, he has missed a few sitters in his time at just Forest at least. But I do agree if people said don't get him because, you know, he does have that inconsistency about him and he probably wouldn't be, you know, incredible in the Premier League. But I just think for a bit of squad depth, and you know, he already knows the club, it wouldn't be bad to keep him. But it's not really a shock, is it? That he's probably going to go to Olympiacos because that sort of connection is always going to be there.
Always a connection. There's like, so to speak, do you think Forest should have kept him? I know you had your debates about him as well, Des. So what do you think?
Yeah, it's just more frustration with him more than anything. There's real ability in there, and what he did in the first half of games quite often, where he really sort of ran. He did run about, he put shift in, you know, and he kind of upset. I remember the Leicester game in particular in the FA Cup. I think the Liverpool game as well. We played really, really well.
We did well. We did.
And that's interesting, isn't it? Because without thinking, I've just mentioned 2 games against Premiership opposition where he's played really well. And lots of people say with a bit more time, I don't necessarily buy into that. You know, if you're good enough, you're good enough. And for me, it was just that final ball, wasn't it? You know, if he stopped earlier, if he picked the pass out to Brennan rather than try and cut him for Keenan, you know, just little decisions at crucial times. The miss against Liverpool, you know, he scores that goal. Not only does it take him into the stratosphere in terms of fan support, but his confidence. You know, he's match winner. He's the man. And that's where I think he's just lacking a little bit. You know my thoughts already, and Mads has already touched on it. The one player I'd go all out in this window to sign is Morgan Gibbs-White, because I think he fills in. He don't just sort of cover what Zinkernagel does. He probably almost covers Garner as well in many ways. I wouldn't say I'd still take Zinkernagel or Garner as well. You know, we're greedy as football fans. We want all the players. But I think for me, that position is really crucial. More crucial than ever coming up. It looks like we're going to be signing a striker who's a little bit unknown. You know, again, I'm not doubting his ability. I don't know his ability. But a striker who seems to be an upgrade on Davis, that seems to be like it's not happening. And again, we'll
talk about that later.
Of course, but I just think that position is so crucial. And you asked me about Zinkernagel. I think, me personally, there's better options out there to pursue at this stage. If we signed one of those better options and he was available on the cheap, you know, without being priced out of it like we have for every other loan player, you know, what a player to give a go to, you know, even if we could get him on loan again. I don't know. I'm sure what.
You think, you know what Forest are like as everyone knows, they're going to our sister club, Olympiacos, not a brother club.
Well, this is what I wanted to mention, Dor, because it isn't that interesting.
That's what I tell you. It's funny because I said a joke about it. He's going to Olympiacos to replace Jair Carvalho. I was just saying a joke before. If there's any Olympiacos fans or Forest fans that loves Jair Carvalho, then don't hurt me, please. If he doesn't play well for Olympiacos, I saw it in the comments. He might come to Forest in January. Just get rid of him. You know, we know what Marinakis is like. If you play shit, that's his own words. You get rid of him and send him to Forest. So, me personally, I before I get Dave, I would have kept him, but as a backup player to Gibbs. Why? Well, that's my opinion. People in the comments, what do you think? Dave, what do you think about Ziggs? Do you think Forest should have kept him as a squad player?
Well, I echo the sentiments of Raz and Des, and like Des says, we're in the Premier League, we're floating along. Let's have everything we want. But with Philip, why was it always Philip that was coming off after an hour, right? And for all Philip's excellence against Leicester, and he played well. He set up that lovely goal for Brennan against Derby, and he was very canny at the end in sort of like proving his Forestness in the rumble that happened at the end. But you always felt with Philip that he was the likely one to make way for Joe Lolly or somebody like that, right? What I would say about Philip, and if we're being harsh, he should have scored. A Premier League standard player scores against Liverpool, right? If as Daniel Taylor says, we're taking the sentiment out, get the ball put in the back of the net against Liverpool, and then it stops Diogo Jota doing what he does 30 seconds or a minute later. I actually felt that Liverpool would score as soon as he missed, right? So taking the sentiment out, or a good Premier League standard player puts that in the back of the net. He also should have scored before Jack followed up against Sheffield United. But the point I'm coming to is there were a couple of times during the season where Steve Cooper was talking about Philip, and he said about Philip, you know, he's an incredibly intellectual guy, he's a very intelligent guy, very erudite lad, as Rads has mentioned. But I got the impression that Steve felt there was always more that Philip can give, and that Steve even Steve was having a job to get it out of him. So my view is that if he's going to be with Forest, he's backup. But I will go and back up the two lads again, Des and Rads. When I wrote my little list down in sad, nerdy fashion this afternoon, Morgan Gibbs-White was at the top of my list of paper. Morgan Gibbs-White, he ticks every box you could imagine. As Des says, he's that mercurial, creative player in behind. If it's going to be Awonyi, who's about 9 foot tall and about 5 foot wide, he'd be an ideal guy to kind of supply him and do that role. And, what's forgotten about Morgan Gibbs-White, he's been excellent at Sheffield United. He's been excellent at Wolves. I remember him scoring a beauty in the Carabao, admittedly against our kids, and he was terrific. But again, 3 seasons ago, I think it was, he was with Steve at Swansea. And Swansea made a terrific start to the season. I remember him going to Wickham one day, admittedly only Wickham. And Swansea, I think, won 3-0, and they coasted through. And Morgan Gibbs-White was at the heart of everything. He couldn't have the ball enough. He just kept demanding it. Now, that's a kid to me who looks hungry. And I think if we were going to break the bank for anybody, the names on my list, he's the one I would go and get. So, in terms of midfielders, Morgan Gibbs-White, you look at the facets of it, and it's a kind of a no-brainer for Forest to say, let's get this guy in. It's just a matter of them now talking to Wolves, and obviously, I'm sure Steve would talk to Morgan Gibbs-White personally because they know each other. So again, this is why I like this idea of, Cloughy took John McGovern with him everywhere, John O'Hare everywhere with him, and Steve's kind of doing a similar thing. He's got Sam Surridge has come in and been terrific. I'm sure Joe Rodon's in the conversation, but I do take Des's point. But Morgan Gibbs-White, more than anybody, is the one I think we should go and get. I think he's ready for it, and he would desperately love to play Premier League. And if he comes to Forest, again backing up what Des says, he pretty much does walk into the side, and he's already earned that place there with the body of work that he's put together in the last 3 or 4 seasons. And he also, I like the idea of Forest as a side of young hip gunslingers. Yeah. I love Dane Murphy's idea of lads under 26. Let's have I'm going to use a daft phrase now, but let's have a Cooper Babes. Let's have a young side, a gang.
Like same age as Rads.
Well, Rads is only 15, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm only 15.
Okay.
He's a lot younger than me, but then everybody is.
So everyone says, right, I think all 4 of us agree. Morgan Gibbs-White will be the one midfielder. We'll pick 2 midfielders. So everyone says Morgan Gibbs-White. People in the comments, what do you think? Morgan Gibbs-White and who else? I saw, before we do, you lot think what midfielders that you want. Quite a few I'm looking up. Michael Lane says Ross Barkley. I think he had a loan at Aston Villa.
Yeah, did all right.
He did all right as well. And yes, Gary Marriott, another player. I think that's what Des mentioned this. I like to see Sammy Bird next to MGW. Another big player. Unit. Yeah, a big unit. I think he'd be good alongside Ryan Yates. I know we've got Jack Colback, another player that can replace James Garner, if I got it right. But yeah, another player that we can replace. Who else is there? I'm looking at. You got quite a lot of fans here, Rads. Quite a lot of fans. Quite a lot of fans.
Want to be young again.
Yeah, all these young ones. Make sure if you're not subscribed to Rads, make sure you do hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to me as well. I'm on 610 likes. There's 196 people in. Please do hit the subscribe button, please, if you can. Hit the like as well. Make sure you hit the like for me, Rads, and do delay. Please, if you're just new to the show, Des said, and this is what Des said, before the show does, if it gets to 700 subscribers by the end of the show, he will run to Leicester when we play it. So please do hit the like button, subscribe button to Des. His link is below. So people hit the subscribe, hit the old subscribe.
I can't run to the toilet.
So right, one more midfielder. I like that. There's more. There's one again. Harry Winks, another good experienced player. We mentioned Sandy Berg. Lewis O'Brien, he plays for Huddersfield, don't he? Yes.
Decent.
Wilson from Hearts. Yes, he still has.
Yeah.
Shout out to Lennon Martinez next to Gibbs-White. Where would you put Yates, Lennon? Lennon, you should be, I'm disappointed with you, Lennon. Where would you put Ryan Yates? Disgusting. Right. Des, one more midfielder. Who would you pick?
I think you've answered it for me, Dor. Sander Berg's the player. He's got a bit of experience, and what we saw last season. And again, I think it's Dave touched on the point there about players that can almost come into the team, and be part of it, kind of understand what it's about. And I know he's a different type of player to the Morgan Gibbs White and those kind of players, the young players. But I just think he just slots straight into what we've got. Do you know the roles that Colback and Yates play as players? The roles those two play, of course, as much as Colback's been brilliant, as much as Yates has been brilliant, you never know. You never know what's going to happen in the Premier League. And like we touched on about sentiment, if you're looking for a player to go straight in there and make a difference in the team, Berg is such a physical unit. Who, without him and Morgan Gibbs White, Sheffield United wouldn't have even touched him. True. And I know it's relevant in many ways, but it shows a strength of character. Before the first leg, Sander Berg's house had been burgled on the Friday.
Yes, it was.
And there was lots of sort of issues around, and some of the Sheffield United players, fans who I speak to, said he did a poor game. I thought, is that a poor game? Because in that second half, when they had to, and they put the pressure on, he was at the centre of everything. He was at the centre of it at the City Ground with Morgan Gibbs White. He was popping up. He was clearing off the edge of their box, but he was also popping up on the edge of our box, or in the box, in the 6-yard box. Proper old school box-to-box midfield player. And
scored a good penalty as well, Des.
Yeah.
A great penalty.
He can strike the ball. A lot of players, I look at Raheem Sterling. He's not a 2-ball striker, is he? And look how good he is. He's amazing. But someone like Sander Berg, who's a big physical presence, can do all the dirty stuff, but can really strike the ball cleanly, whether it's passing, shooting. He's just got that sort of star appeal to me. And I think somebody's going to have him in the Premier League. So my opinion is, as a team that needs to massively improve, to take it to that next level, why not give it a go? It costs a lot of money, and whether Steve Cooper thinks he's worth that much of a risk, only time will tell. If I could sign 2 players, though, I know the question is 5, I'd sign Morgan Gibbs White and I'd sign Sander Berg, and I think that takes us a long way. A long way in the Premier League. Not ridiculous sort of winning it off, even top 10, but it takes us a long way towards establishing ourselves and becoming a force to be reckoned with.
100%. Like I said, I think I agree with Des with Sander Berg. He's a good player. I think he played well in the first and second leg, but why not play alongside? I saw I come from Lennon and be like Yates, Morgan Gibbs White, and Sander Berg. Why not? Rads, what do you agree with Des, or you got a different kind of midfielder?
I agree with both of the guys here. To be fair, Berg would be amazing if we got him. Obviously, I've already mentioned. I think Gibbs White would be just fantastic. He ticks all the boxes. He can even play up front like he was doing at the end of the season for Sheffield, because they had no strikers and he did a good job. Real nuisance. We saw him play against us 5 times last season. He did great in all of them. So, I generally think he'll be a really good signing. He's had a few years in the Championship now, where he's really developed, particularly at Sheffield, and obviously. We've seen this a few times with the signings since Cooper's been here. They've played with Cooper before, so there's immediate that connection there. I think I would definitely help him, and I do think that Gibbs White can step up to the Premier League for sure. Honestly, though, if I was to pick another midfielder, and I'm surprised no one's really been mentioning him, I'd love it if we brought Garner back.
We've got forgotten about Garner, haven't we?
I just think he's so crucial, and he's just a fantastic midfielder all round, and he can play as a 10, as a 6, as an 8 in that midfield. He just does the business, and I think he's definitely good enough to be in the Premier League. I don't know whether Man United have got him in their plans, or You know, they want to loan him out
Not good
or
enough.
anything. You
Not
don't
good
think so? No, I don't think so
This is
either.
really about James Garner, and people can agree or disagree with me, and I'll get a panel as well about James Garner. Me personally, right, when you play in the Championship, it's a different ballgame to Premier League. And Garner, let's put it in context. He didn't start great under Houghton. He did fantastic for Cooper as well, but I think there's levels to the game. I know Man U have not been playing great. The midfield has been whack, as all the Man U podcasts have been saying. But if he needs another loan spell, why not? But at the same time, I think we're in the Premier League. I personally think we can get someone better than him. Well, that's my opinion. Dave, what?
Sorry,
Another midfield?
I'd sign Garner. I'd put a cheeky £15 million bid in.
Really?
There are lots of people in the comments saying we can't sign him. I'd say there's your
I
offer.
agree.
There is your offer. Right? You make your mind up whether you want to develop this guy and keep him and loan him and do whatever, or you send him back to us. We've made him a better player. But again, I think he can do a job around that midfield, and he'll be better than what we start with if we don't sign someone like Sander Berg. I'd make a cheeky bid and just say, take it or leave it kind of thing. And then, because at some point, from these loan players, all of them, we have to move on.
Yeah.
You know, it's all right saying, oh, we'd love Davis and we'd love Garner. We would, in an ideal world, if the clubs weren't trying to fleece us. But at some point, we've got to move forward and realise where we are and sort of attack the project in front of us.
Dave?
I think that Jimmy is going to struggle to get in at Manchester United because Erik ten Hag is going to come in and he's going to want marquee signings to kind of, if you like, spray his territory at Old Trafford. He's going to looking at Frankie de Jong and I don't think Jimmy's going to get a game. Now, the thing therefore is for Jimmy to talk to Erik ten Hag or Jimmy's agent, whoever. And I think if you offer Jimmy Garner anywhere to go other than Manchester United, he's only going to go one place because he's loved. He's played, 2 excellent seasons with us, 1 to promotion. And last year when we were pretty dire, he stood out. He was like the nugget of gold in the pile of plot. You know what I mean? But I think that a name I've gotten down here, I mean, I've written 2 or 3 names down that I'm going to chuck at you. Ainsley Maitland-Niles interests me because he's got versatility now. Ainsley Maitland-Niles can play right back. He could probably play left back. Yeah, he's been versatile at Arsenal. He did well in a relatively weak West Brom side a couple of seasons ago when he was chucked in towards the end. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, again, another young guy, and I mean, for me, he'd probably love to play with like Morgan Gibbs-White and Nico and Brennan. Just get a young side, a young, cool side, I mean, I go back to, I'm just chucking names around in my head now. It's my mind is like a tumble dryer, honestly. I really like what Des was saying about Sander Berge, though, because we've talked about Nico and Brennan being like that. Well, Morgan Gibbs-White and Sander Berge were brilliantly like that, especially in that second half at the City Ground, before the Hurahan stop got us through. So I think Sander Berge, I mean, remember Sander Berge scored a brilliant header at the end of the first leg to kind of put the thing back in the balance, sort of. So I'd him. I mean, other names I wrote down, there were 3 other names that I wrote. So bear with me. I really like Scott Twine at MK Dons. He's a progressive.
Yeah, you know what? I watched him in the playoffs, and he's a good player.
Yeah, Scott Twine. There's that one. To me, the best player that came to Forest last year, actually before Gibbs-White in the semi-final of the playoff, I thought Keane Lewis-Potter was absolutely outstanding.
You know what? Shout out to Nico
absolutely outstanding. He scored a great goal where it went round the back of Jed Spence. He brought it down, 1 touch, bang, it was in the back of the net. And it was so ruthless. I'm 8 rows from the front in Trent End, and he put it in the near post. He was actually hitting it towards me. And it was so clinical, it was so clean. And he's a lad, and he's not the biggest, but he's just broken into the England 21s, I think it is. So he's been playing with Jimmy and he's been playing with, Jed and all these. And I just think he's got a little bit of cocksure swagger about him. He's a good player. And then the other one, and I'm just going to chuck a daff on him. Why can't we ask Jesse Lingard? Jesse Lingard's a free. Jesse Lingard's a free agent. Why not? Jesse.
Wait,
it's a short distance from Manchester, Nottingham.
Dave, right. Listen, people, if you're a fan of Jesse Lingard, don't shoot me. Good player, good experienced player, but I can't deal with dancing when he scores. All these nonsense. No, for me.
He could link up with Ghana, though, couldn't he? Imagine that.
Yeah,
no,
it's a good point.
He's a good player. Like, how old is he? He's still in his late 20s, isn't he? About 28, 29.
Yeah, and he's. I tell you what, he's a very, very positive dressing room character, both with Manchester United at West Ham when he went there, and I tell you what, when he was in the England dressing room, he's a bit of a Jack the Lad. He's a guy who engenders team spirit, I think, Jesse Lingard.
Dave, Wolverine says you've lost the plot.
Sorry, Wolverine.
He has lost the bloody plot. You know what? Like, Jesse Lingard, a good shout out. I know. I don't think he'll come because
you know what? I totally agree with that, though, Dave. I don't think he's going to be the type of player we go for. He's too good for Forest, I guess. But it's that player, isn't it? We're talking about players in that midfield who almost play in that hole between the midfield and the forward line. Do you know, a player I really like, and again, they'd never sell him, but Jared Bowen.
Yeah.
Players that are busy. I think that's what we're all looking for. Is someone who's really busy in that hole, who can do things, who's going to run all day, who's going to probably got a little bit of a chip on the shoulder, at times. That a little bit of aggression, just to really sort of take it to teams. And I think we're all kind of angling at that, and that's why we want these kind of players.
Yeah.
I was looking for the comments. We don't need no midfield. We got Des, Lover, Cafu. You know what? I forgot about Cafu as well. Shout out to Cafu. I think I put a picture up on my Instagram. Cafu loved it. I don't know if boys fans saw it. I think he was on the sidelines, and it was Brennan Johnson done something, and Spencer cleared it away and gave a bollocking to Spence, and I gave Cafu. Cafu responded.
Great character, Cafu. Love Cafu.
Yeah, the thing is, people, is he good enough for the Premier League? I know Des say he is, but he's good enough for the Premier League. Des would say he's number one.
He's a horse for a course. When we need that ball keeping for 10 minutes, when we're stuck, when we're getting them points here and there, you put him on with 10 minutes and you won't get the ball off him.
Do you know what, Des? That's a really good point. And my mind goes back to the Liverpool quarter-final. And he came on and he did really well in that last 10 or 15 minutes. In fact, he had a shot just not that far away, right at the end, And yeah, I mean, I don't think he's good enough to play 90 minutes in the Prem. But I tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised if Steve keeps him around, because around the club, he's a tremendous character, So we'll see what goes on.
Right. So, like I said, there's quite a lot of midfielders. I think if we've not mentioned the midfield, people put in the comments. Because like I said, there's so many players that we've been linked with, and I've seen a Leicester fan. A Leicester fan keeps piping on his chat like, let's where was it? I think he put a stupid comment, but
we're not your rivals, mate.
We're not bothered. Southampton's our rivals now. We're not bothered about you. So Leicester, please just go away and find someone like, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, pick someone. Southampton's our new rivals. There's 201 people here. Thank you everyone for taking time to watching this. Watching myself, Dave, Rad's YouTuber, Dude YouTuber. Make sure you subscribe to me on all three of us.
I'm a U-bender.
Huh?
I mean, you lot are all on YouTube. I'm in the U-bend.
He's a U-bend. So yeah. So people like everyone, make sure you do subscribe. I'm trying to get to 10K before the end of the year. Raz, what are you trying to get to there, Raz? Des is trying to get to 700 by the end of the year. What are you trying to get to, Raz?
Well, I'm on the road to 4,000 at the moment. Haven't really got a goal for the end of the year. Just trying to get as many as possible.
You need a goal, Raz. You can't.
5,000. Why not? 6,000. Right.
Because we're in the Premier League, people. Give some Raz some love. Go and
please
subscribe to his channel as well. I said to everyone, make sure everyone subscribes to Des. Des told him a good chat with the Forest legend Kevin Campbell. But I've watched it 3 or 4 times. It's really motivation talk. If you feel down, feel low, you know what? Des, talk about it before we do our next topic. About your chat with Kevin.
So basically, towards the end of the season, we were lucky enough to do what we did, get to meet Kev and get to know him quite well, weren't we? We did that evening with at the South Bank. And he spoke about his career, but because we'd been part of the organising, he helped us on our channels individually. For me, Do Daily is all about sort of encouraging people to just be positive and enthusiastic. I try and be that myself, you know, and I just pass on some of the things I do. I don't expect people to go and do them. It's just a daily vlog. And when I spoke to Kev, we just spoke about mental health. If you follow Kev on Twitter, he's massively into encouraging people to be happy and positive. He puts his own stuff out daily about having a good day and his Funky Friday and things like that. And we just basically got stuck into what makes us tick. It was just a real, genuine conversation. And as much as I could do that with a camera next to me, I just literally put a camera on the shelf in the coffee shop. And we just spoke for about an hour and a half just about things that upset us, things that have gone wrong in the past, and how we deal with it, and how we just keep pushing forward. It was mental health, but it's not in the way where people say, "Oh, you've got to go and do this, you've got to go and do that." You know, you need to go and see someone. It's just 2 blokes talking, real talk. You know, hopefully getting to the problem. And when I watched it back, I'd not seen it for a few months in full. I'd played around with it and done whatever. When I watched it back, it's really given me a kick up the arse to go and do some of the things I was talking about then. You know, I was really inspired by it. And I watch my videos back every day, and sometimes you're just looking for mistakes. But with that, I kind of got engrossed in it. And listening to Kev and the way he encouraged me and some of the things I was saying about when I was low and things like that, it's just real, genuine chat. And I just put a camera there and did it. And thankfully, Kev, you know, did what he did. And it was just absolutely brilliant, wasn't it?
100%. Like I said, people after the show, please go and look to Des' channel. Like I said, I watched it 2 or 3 times. Motivation, if you feel low, and it's not just Kevin Campbell as well. There's quite a lot of things that Des does on his channel, like with mental health. Goes for walks. People, if you go for walks, go and watch Des' channel. And like I say, go and subscribe to the channel. Like I said, it's a great thing to watch, and please do. It's fantastic motivation from Kevin. Like I said, I'm lucky to have Kevin Campbell as a mate, as a friend, What does Malcolm say? As a fanboy, everyone's here. I still see myself as a fanboy. When I speak to Kev, he messages me every day. How am I doing? And to see that, I love it. So shout out to Kevin if you're watching this. Much love, my bro. Yeah, lovely character. Right, strikers, and I know we all heard it down, and it's not we can't hide from it. We are going to sign her for Berlin striker. What is his name, Rads?
You had to put me on the spot, didn't you? Iwani. I butchered that totally, haven't I? What is it?
What's his name, Dad? Dave?
Taiwo Awoniyi.
That's the word. I
was just testing you.
Right, so we are signing him, and like I said, when we do confirm signing, I will do a show live on this channel. I've got her for Berlin striker. I've got a person who follows Nigerian football as well. So I will be having this either Thursday or Friday at 8 p.m. So people, if you want to watch this, it's going to be if you want to know more about our new striker, please go and watch it. Hit the subscribe button, please. Hit the like button as well. There's 195 people in. Please do hit the like button. If we get to 100 likes, it'll be massive help from me. Right. So the topic is right. Like I said, the panel might have their own strikers, and we're going to pick 2 strikers. And put the comments as well. Okay, well, what else? What other striker would you love at Forest? Be real. Don't be like, oh, Lewandowski. I've seen in the comments, Lewandowski. Stupid. Who would you want? And we'll talk about don't fall in love with a lone player. And let me tell Rads, as a young fan, David, we'll talk about Davis. He was fantastic for us. Would you want him back at Forest? And people in the comments as well, would you want him back?
I mean, if we're going to get this guy from Union Berlin, I'm sure he's got a very good name. He looks very similar Keenan as a player. Very physical, charges at the defence all the time. Just a really, really good striker. That's very, very definitely. I probably would say better. But honestly, I would I would like to have Keenan if I'm going to pick 2 strikers. If we can get Davis and this Union Berlin player, then I think that's a really good set of strikers, as well as Sam Sturridge as well. We can't disrespect Sturridge.
Unlike Chad Sturridge as well. When he comes to Forest, everyone absolutely hammered him. I didn't, because I never destroy someone who plays for the red shirt. And you forget that he's still a Forest player. So yeah, come on, guys. Anything to say?
Yeah, I think Sturridge is fantastic. The amount of goals he scored for us that were some really, really high quality finishes that I think you'd see in the top flight, to be honest. We might even have Graben still, for all we know. It's a bit of a grey area whether he should stay or not, but we might still have Graben. But honestly, I think this guy from Union Berlin does look good. I think I do definitely trust Cooper and Murphy for sure. But I honestly, if I had the choice, I'd love to see Davis come back, because I don't think he deserves to just be sold to a championship club or just sit on Villa's bench. He clearly is loved here, and he loves it here as well. I think the Market Square celebration said everything about how he feels at Forest. I think it's only fair that he'd stay. And I know Villa apparently want 15 million, but look at the Nick Pope situation. We were talking 40 million for him, and now Newcastle are getting him for 10 or something. So it can change. So personally, I'd like to see Keenan stay.
Dave, what striker would you pick? And as I mentioned to Rad, would you want Davis back with Forest?
Yeah, I would. I've checked out Awoniyi. I've had a look at him, and he is a seriously big individual. There was a photograph I saw. He was at Liverpool for a while, and there's this great photograph I saw, might have been yesterday or early today, where there are 4 guys running along, and in front there's Mo, Bobby Firmino, and Sadio
I've seen it. Yeah.
Taiwo Awoniyi is behind him, and he towers over all 3 of them, right? And he is a seriously hefty piece of work, right? And the clips I've seen of him for Union Berlin, he's a bit rough and ready, but then again, so was Keenan. And I think that sort of rough edge to Keenan endeared him to us. When he first turned up, we weren't quite sure about him. And I remember his first game, I believe, was Arsenal in the Cup. And he gave Rob Holding and Ben White, who are, let's be honest, 2 established Premier League defenders.
No, Dave. Do you remember Lewis Graben had him in the back pocket in FA Cup? I just need to put that out as well. Sorry, Arsenal fans.
Yeah, so I would have Keenan. I'd love Keenan, but I think he's a great character. I think, unfortunately for Keenan, our view of him is slightly coloured by the end of the season, where he clearly wasn't fit after what happened at Luton. To be fair, and I agree with Gary Birtles, I think it was, who said it on Gary Baldy Red podcast. Gary said he was poor at Wembley, and he was. But then, having said that, he laid the ball to Jimmy Garner to put it in for Ryan to get in and affect Levi Colwill. So, Keenan did have an effect, but I think a fully fit Keenan Davis would be a massive asset to us. The only problem is Villa appear to be pricing him out of any possibility of an opportunity for him. So, whether we get him or not, I don't know. I mean, I've got to mention Sam Surridge, as Rad says, a tremendous finisher. His ratio of goals to games played is actually very healthy, and Sam just has a knack for sort of just calming himself and doing the right thing when the finish comes along. So I like him. I've written 3 other names down. I'm just going to chuck them. They're daft ones. And,
chuck them in, Dave.
Yeah, chuck them in. So I like Joel Pirro at Swansea.
You know what? Everyone's been talking about him, even the Swansea fans, because he used to work with Cooper. But carry on, Dave.
Yeah. So Joel Pirro. Actually, I've got 4 names. The other one I've got was I like Cameron Archer, who was on loan at Preston last year, another lad from Villa. But the same will probably apply to him. Gerrard won't let him go in the same way he won't let Keenan go. So, I think Cameron Archer's a good lad. I know he missed a couple of sitters against us in that dire match up at Preston.
Oh, don't talk about that.
Ben Brereton Diaz.
Ooh.
But is he Premier League good enough? I'm not sure he is.
People in the comments, what do you think about Ben Brereton? You know what? I might get stick, and Malcolm's not a fan of him. I know Malcolm might be watching this. He doesn't like him. I liked Matt Forrest. I think he came in the Forest squad at the wrong time.
He did, and he was only a boy then.
Yeah, he came at the wrong time, and he was getting so much stick. I know, he did so well for the 23. He's coming to Forest, and he just didn't do well at all for us. I know he won a good game, and that was against Arsenal, if people remember. So, I personally think that he could do a shout for us, but Any more strikers, Dave? Before I get down?
Yeah, there was one other, and this is like really left field, and everybody will go, "What's Dave on about?" And then, but I was watching some Scottish football the other night, and I watched a game at the end of the season between Celtic and Dundee United, and Dundee United have got a lad up front. I mean, he'd be a good backup striker, but a lad called Dylan Levitt. And I kind of thought he scored a great goal against Celtic. He looked quite useful, So it's an obscure one, but I think it'll be Awoniyi, Sam, and as Rad says, Grabs on a 1-year extension with his experience. He's not going to start. He's probably going to come off the bench, but he'll be like if Cookie's coaching the back line, Lewis will be coaching the front boys. Like he was terrific for Keenan last season. He was terrific for Sam. I'm sure he helped Alex Mighton a bit. And whatever. So I think it will, being realistic, I mean, I'm tossing names out. In fact, I'm quite a good tosser occasionally. I think it'll be the three that we've mentioned. It'll be Awoniyi, Sam, and Grabs. But you never know. The window is but in its embryonic stage, so you just don't know.
We don't know, people. Like I said, people in the comments, what do you think? What strikers do you think? Dave give us about 10 strikers. But, I don't know. What do you think? Do you agree with Dave? I saw quite a lot of people, before I get to Dave, I saw quite a lot of people saying about Brereton. And this is from Lennon. He's not good enough. Scored about 254 goals this season. Some daft people in here. Is that clear? He's a good player.
Small opinions.
Yeah, it's about opinions, people. This is why we've got to show this, why people enjoy it, because I don't tell Des to say this. Like I told Des to say this, and he just says the opposite. So this is why I got Des on the show. People say don't go for Ben Brereton. Why not? Why not? People in the comments, why? Why do you not want Ben Brereton? I like him. Ben's the striker, left winger. I like him as a left winger. But yeah. Signing for 20 million. Why not? Gary Marriott says never go back. Ben is not good enough.
Gary's taking the sentiment out, bless him.
You know what? Gary, if you carry on, I won't be going to your car for next season. So change your mind.
Does he mean Brighton or Door?
Oh, what?
Does he mean Brighton or Door?
Not Brereton. He's not good enough. So there's quite a lot of people saying they don't want Brereton back. But Des, last but not least, what do you think about Brereton? Your choice of strikers?
I don't want Ben Brereton either.
Why?
I think he's still got more to do to prove he's a top player. He's done well, don't get me wrong, and he's had that twist of fate in his career where he ended up playing for Chile, and just in many ways that gave him the confidence, like I was talking about Zinkernagel earlier, just something to happen and then go on from. And he's got the confidence. He went into Chile, he started well, he's built some confidence, but when he come back from an injury, he struggled, didn't he? He struggled in the latter part of the season. Blackburn struggled for goals big time. So I think I think he needs another season at Blackburn, and perhaps with a change of manager, they'll play differently, and just to see how he copes. If I was somebody with 20 million to go and sign a striker, and Ben Brereton was available, I'd say I'll watch him for another 12 months. I'd want to see more from him. Don't get me wrong, I liked him at Forest. I really did. I thought he was a rough diamond. I thought he put himself about. I watched him in a game against Sheffield Wednesday once. They had two giants at the back, and he was kicking them, he was backing into them, he was getting some stick himself. So I think there's a lot to his game to admire. And don't forget, only 12 months ago, Forest fans were going laughing out the backsides at getting 8 million for him, and saying we proved them wrong. So I think there's more to come from him. But when you come to sort of other strikers, again, it seems obvious, doesn't it? But the guy who's playing in Germany at Union Berlin, he's probably worked under Cooper. I checked when he was at Liverpool, the period.
Yeah.
He's been there, so he knows a bit about him. There's the issues surrounding Keenan Davis, again, like all the other loan signings. We're falling victim of our own success here, and the players are as well. Because I'm adamant Keenan Davis wants to sign for Forest. Anybody who's seen him on the balcony at the Market Square, you don't need to think twice about the fact he feels comfortable in this environment. So it would be a shame if Villa price him out. I think there's room for him and the other guy. Again, we're going to have strength in depth. And I think, again, Keenan occasionally picks up a knock, and he definitely was injured in the last part of the season. He was definitely really sort of not quite there, but he did play his part in games. And in the Sheffield United game, let's not forget, in that second leg, when he come on, he changed that. He did.
I was going to say that, He had an impact.
I saw someone make a comment about him being lazy. He picked up a ball and he just carried it like the full length of the pitch. And from that point, we were back in the game. We were back in
extra time, Des. He early on in extra time, he had a chance at the near post where he kind of got his bottom of his boot on it, and Foderingham saved it. But it almost acted as a trigger. And I think in that game, in extra time, Forest were the better side in extra time. And it gave us the momentum then going into the penalty shootout. And I think with Keenan, anybody accusing Keenan of being lazy is missing the point. Keenan did what he could at the time, given that he was like 85%, 95% fit. He wasn't fully fit. And again, in Cooper we trust. Steve felt he could be put on the field, and he did a terrific job in a sort of a vignette within the game. It was like a game within a game. And I absolutely take you. But I'd love to have Keenan. I think he's a great character. I mean, some of the goals he scored, the goal against Reading where he dropped his shoulder and left two blokes standing. I mean, it's a work of art,
Exactly, Dave. So that if we could get them cheap enough, and again, we've got to be realistic in what we can spend here. If they see the other guy as the direct replacement, and he's going to cost us a bit of money. Looked at his goal scoring record, really, really good, over the last couple of seasons, 1 in 2. Cooper knows him. And for that role, you don't, if we play anything like last season, and I'm sure we're going to adapt to the Premier League and Cooper's going to put his stamp on it even more. But if goal scoring wasn't the be all and end all from Keenan Davis,
I don't know where he's not paying his internet.
But anyway, so goal scoring wasn't the be all and end all from his game, wasn't it? He did so much in terms of link up. I mentioned a lot the goal when he linked up with Garner. When Garner played number 10, played absolutely brilliant.
Where'd you go? Right, you're not being paid the internet bill.
My wife had us freaked out for a second. So
people comment if you do a donation, I will pay towards Rad's internet bill. Sorry, Des.
Wouldn't be a bad thing.
Yeah, I just think if they see him as an upgrade and somebody who can score goals and link up and he's quick, we could really do with a little bit more pace up there at times. When we're under the cosh. But one player I do want to mention, I've said this previously, Surridge is going to have a massive role to play.
Yeah.
He's not going to be the one left out here because Forest are going to be in games where they don't get very many chances and they're going to need somebody to run that line like you wouldn't believe. And that he's the guy to do it. He will run all day. And if he gets 1 or 2 chances, I'd fancy him out of anybody we've seen at Forest over the last few years to stick it away. And when I think about it, he's a better Patrick Bamford.
Yes.
Better
I see what, Des, ask Gary Birtles about him. Gary Birtles raves about him. Absolutely rate about him.
Exactly, because I can see a bit of Birtles in his game, the way he
Yeah.
runs and the way he finishes. But
Yeah.
for me, he runs more than Bamford. You know, he leads the line better than Bamford, and he finishes better than Bamford. And look at the season Bamford.
Yeah, it's a great point.
Upturning fortunes, because he had a couple of years where it wasn't working for him. So if he can do it, I believe Surridge can. And I think he's got massive role to play in this team, because even if he's used as a super sub, again, it might be the difference between getting beat 1-0 and drawing 1-1, or nicking a late winner when we're under the cosh at home and things like that. Because that guy doesn't need many chances. What he does need is a little bit of service, and he's got all that effort and commitment and desire. It takes you a long way. And we've seen that with Bamford, haven't we? He's not the best player in the world, but he's managed to forge himself out a Premier League career when he got with the right person and the right manager and the right coaching. He's the main man. He's done it. And I think Surridge could be the surprise package of what we've got here.
Great point, Des. Great point, mate.
I'm just looking at the comments. After Dez's beautiful talk, Des got a bit of a fanboy. Got Wolverine, Des, brutal to look at, and brutal to listen.
Gorgeous.
So Des got a bit of a fanboy. Shout out to Wolverine. Shout out to Wolverine is no Des fanboy. Everyone loves Des. Have you subscribed, everyone? If you're not, go and subscribe to Des and make sure everyone subscribes to Raz as well. But yeah, it's like I said, brilliant. Hour 26 minutes. Brilliant hell, but this has been mad. Another good show. 1 hour 27 minutes. And if you're new to my channel, I'm Mr. Door with DoreOnTour. There's so much content that I'll be doing. The season is approaching. We're almost there. I'll be doing my usual thing. Raz will be doing his thing. Des will be doing his usual talking about mental health, and as well, you see his mug face on here as well. So people, like I said, if you are new to the channel, please do hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. Dad, we got your dad on here. Rad's dad is on here. Shout out to Rad's dad. I'm okay, mate, and you. Bloody hell. No, this is not Raz. This is not Raz. It's DoreOnTour. Rad's dad. Come on. So yeah.
People mention it in the comments because my internet just freaked out. They said, "Has Rad dad unplugged the router?"
No.
No.
I think he's had enough of your mug face, Raz. But yeah, shout out to Rad's dad, and I'm looking forward to see you at the new season. But like I said, people, like I said, great show. There's 193 people in. Please do, if you can, please, it'd do me a massive help. Please do hit the like button, please. Like I'm on 91. Get me to 150 likes before the show is done. It'd be much appreciated as well. Subscribe if you're new as well. And last but not least, I'm trying to do something different. Like I said, everyone knows I do my vlogs, and everyone sees there's a mug face on there as well. And even for Raz channel as well. If you want to be a sponsor for one vlog, and just help the channel, please do. It'd be a massive help. So if you want to, like I said, sponsor for one game, help mine, help Raz's channel as well, holler at me. And even Des' channel, Des likes to do it. He does a daily.
We're crowdfunding his wedding.
You know what? It could be a good. Yeah, that could be.
I need it for that, Dave.
Yeah, people, like I said, if you want to help, if you want to help Des' channel and be a sponsor for one of his videos, like up-and-coming videos, or one of my up-and-coming videos, or Rad's, please.
Do you know why I need more subscribers? Because people keep saying I want to be able to donate because they like some of the stuff. Some people get a lot from it.
It's great.
They can't till I get to 1,000. So please subscribe because they don't allow me to do it.
Yeah, so people, go. There's 185 people. Please, if you can, after the show, go and subscribe to Do Daily as well as Raz. His link that's below. Everyone subscribe because, like I said, it helps my channel and the Premier League. We're the Premier League. So, like I said, I've got so much content to bring. And as well, Forest will be signing that new striker. Dave, what's his name?
Taiwo Awoniyi.
Taiwo Awoniyi. So, like I said, that'll be coming on a Thursday or Friday show.
Awoniyi.
Awoniyi. As well.
Wait, Raz, say it, Raz.
Taiwo Awoniyi.
Hey, he got there.
Yeah, so
we're getting there.
Yeah, so like I said, that live stream will be tomorrow, Friday, wherever Forest confirm, it will be on the DoreOnTour channel. Right, before we go, I'm going to look through the chats as well. And shout out to all the Forest fans that showed love to Billy Sharp. As I know that stupid Forest fan that attacked Billy Sharp. And
good old Billy.
and all the Forest fans did a GoFundMe page and gave some money to his charity as well. And shout out to all the Forest fans that did that for Billy Sharp. It was a class video. If you've not seen it, go on Twitter. It was a great shout out for him. Dole, when we have the tattoo, I have booked it. I have booked it in 2 weeks' time. So the tattoo is coming. So yeah, I'm not lying. I'm dreading it. So should I vlog it? Should I, people in the comments, should I vlog it? Getting a tattoo on my leg.
What part of your body?
Maybe it was me plugging your channel, saying, "Got to get you to was it 7K?" So Dore has to get a tattoo.
No. It was 8K.
8K, yeah, of course. Yeah. Just thought I'd help you out there.
So people, like I said, I will be getting a tattoo. It will be here before the season finishes as well. So yeah, I'm excited. It's like I said, there's so much content I'm going through, like my channel, Rad's, and theirs. Like I said, I like to support everyone. I know Dave hasn't got a channel, but you'll see David's mug face on my channel. Like he will be signing a new contract for me. But yeah, people.
Yeah, my mother will negotiate for me, Ben. I've had a word with her.
That's fine. Bring your mum in as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, people. Like I said, new season. The new season's coming up. There'll be friendly games, loads of chat as well. There'll be loads of signs coming here as well. So when we do confirm the signing as well, we'll be here. And as well, shout out to Matt, Mr. Matthew Wilkinson. His birthday's today. So happy
birthday, Matt.
So happy birthday to Matt as well. But yeah, I think that's it. Thank you everyone for taking part. The 186 people that has took time and have not watched Love Island, because all you sad people out there watching sad Love Island and you've took time to watch this. So thank you everyone for watching this. But like I said, people, last but not least, subscribe to my channel, subscribe to Rad, subscribe to Do Daily. I'll be back either Thursday or Friday to have the confirmation of Forest signing. What's his name again? Dave, one more time, Dave.
Taiwo Awoniyi of Union Berlin Football Club.
That's the word. I had it in my mind. It wasn't there, but it wasn't in my mind. It's just gone. But he said it. Taiwo Awoniyi. When it's confirmed, we'll be on the channel.
9 feet
tall.
People,
thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Rad. And like I said, people, go and watch it. Make sure everyone watches Kevin Campbell vlog. It was a fantastic watch. So please, everyone, go and watch this after the stream. Thank you everyone for watching, and make sure everyone is back for my new channel. Peace and love. Up the Reds.